The Patriots were last year, then going out and getting Mike Vrabel as their head coach, and then having this turnaround and now going to the Super Bowl. Pats Nation, we're going back to the Super Bowl, baby. That's what I'm talking about.
I'll be honest, he was sitting next to me watching all stressed.
I was, and then that Drake Maye run right there, he outran number 52, for that first down with less than a minute left to seal the deal. But, hey, I can say this. That gold jacket is 100% waiting for RKK to go into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. There is no doubt about that. One of the best owners in all of sports.
You just put pressure on him to make that happen.
I mean, he's going back to the Super Bowl.
Listen, I feel for Sean Payton in Denver. You go into that game after you lost your quarterback. I think they made a bad decision when they got down on around the 8-yard line by not taking points. I'm all about points in playoff games. I thought Sean could have tied the game up at 10-all, and as you saw, the final was 10-7, I believe. So therefore, but once again, great job by Sean Payton turning that thing around. Unfortunately, they lost their quarterback. And then Drake Maye, congratulations. Second-year guy taking your team to a Super Bowl. Amazing.
And with Mike Vrabel in his first year as head coach there. Howie, that was close throughout. What do you expect today in this contest?
They made a change in New England, and look where it's gotten them. They had to make a change in Seattle. In 2023, Seattle went to Baltimore, got their brakes beat off by a young, brilliant defense.
That's how loud it gets in here. Late owner Paul Allen designed this stadium so that all the sound comes back in. The way it's designed, it's an outdoor stadium, but it's still one of the loudest, if not the loudest, in the league. And I was here playing with the Giants, 11 false starts in one game. 11. Because you cannot hear yourself think. But I think the Rams have a veteran team. They've been here many times before. Quarterback, offensive line, wideouts. I don't know if it's going to bother them as much as it's bothered other teams in the past. I think they have some experience with it. But you're really going to have to rely on just knowing the cadence of your quarterback, knowing the rhythm of your offense, and really be honed in on your responsibilities, because you can't even simulate how it feels to be on offense.
You can't hear me right here.
No, I can't.
It makes communication so tough.
If you look at this game, everybody's going to talk about the quarterbacks. And when I think about Seattle and Sam Darnold, you cannot play this game today without confidence. I think he's got that. Now, everybody says, well, he's had 6 interceptions against the Rams this year in their 2 games. Okay, so be it. But here's the thing. In week 16, down 16, he led his football team against these Rams into overtime, a winning drive, and a 2-point conversion. So if I'm Sam Darnold today, I get rid of all the ghost past. Because today he belongs out here, he will show he belongs out here, and he will play inspired football for Seattle.
And the Seattle Seahawks on the offensive side of the ball have some serious weapons outside of their star wide receiver, Jackson Smith and Jigba. They got Kenneth Walker at the running back position, and he runs angry. And you don't want to tackle someone that runs angry, especially when it's this cold outside. And then Rashid Shaheed. John Snyder was working on a trade for 4 weeks prior to the trade deadline and finally got his guy. And, man, has he been a difference maker. 3 kick returns for touchdowns since he's been on Seattle. And then my unsung hero of this offense, A.J. Barner. He's a tight end, obviously, and that's why I love him so much, but he plays with attitude out there. I love his style. He plays the game like he's going to fight someone, and they feed off his energy throughout the whole game.
You know, one thing, Howie, is they got to make sure Zach Charbonnet is now out, so Kenneth Walker's maybe going to have to do it a little bit by himself, but maybe the way the defense plays will help.
Yeah, and it's the #1 scoring offense versus the #1 scoring defense, and that's what it comes down to. And I think John Snyder knew with in division, McVay, Shanahan, you got to compete. I've got to bring in Mike McDonald to complex defense. They bring in DeMarcus Lawrence, Williams at defensive tackle, Jones at backer last year, and their second-round pick, Eamon Warren, is kind of their version of Kyle Hamilton that he had in Mike McDonald had in Baltimore. I think the key today is, can they get Matthew Stafford off his spot? It's not necessarily the sacks. They haven't sacked
conference right now. It's not what it was then when it had Manning and McNair on the rise, and it had the Raiders as good as they were, and
Kurt
the
Warner
Steelers.
and the Rams lost to late that season, right?
So those are all teams that were. The Patriots, I'm not discrediting what they've done. It's just a far different, more magical and unexpected story in some ways.
Yeah, I was just going to use that word, unexpected. And both were unexpected, right? But maybe this one even more so, and that just lends to the feeling that Patriots fans, I'm sure, are feeling right now. I think the other similarity between these two teams is, and I'm not sure I would have said this about this particular Patriots team a month ago. But understanding what the game needs and giving what the game needs in order to come away victorious. These last 3 weeks now, they've won on defense. And I'm not sure how many weeks on the Patriots schedule you could look at it and say, boy, the defense bailed out the offense on this one. You had a quarterback who's on an MVP run from damn near start to finish outside a couple games in that first month of the season. This was a Drake Maye-led operation. Last 3 weeks, it's what's gone on the other side of the ball that has pushed them to the heights that they've now achieved. And I give them a lot of credit for that. I give their coaching staff a lot of credit for that. I think you have to give the depth of the roster a lot of credit there. And so in that way, this team is similar to that one, I think, all the way back in 2001.
There's some adaptability. There is similarities in the sense that, we had to adapt back then. We had to morph from week to week. We were game plan defense and a game plan offense. I feel like that's what these two units are. So there are some parallels in that instance where there were times when our offense carried us in 01, and there were times when our defense carried us in 01, and then there were times when guys were asked to do things that they normally didn't do and had smaller roles and bigger roles depending on what the opponent was. That's the same thing in this. You got Robert Spillane goes down. Jack Gibbons comes in and fills in nicely for him. So there are some similarities in that sense. But one thing that is interesting is that profile of that 01 team. I think there were 7 guys on that 01 team that were on that 1997 Super Bowl team against the Green Bay Packers that lost. So it was a little bit older profile of team. I believe this roster is the 4th youngest in the NFL. So even with all the free agents they picked up, it still leans to a much younger team than that 01 team.
You're right. There are some parallels between this team and 01. 01, you think about the offensive touchdowns that you scored throughout those 3 games to glory, giving a little shout out, some commercial time for the Patriots, house-ordered, house-made documentary. But didn't score a lot of offensive touchdowns against the Raiders. Didn't score a lot of offensive touchdowns against the Steelers in that game. Troy Brown with the return. And then, of course, Ty Law getting the scoring started against the Rams. So not a lot of offensive touchdowns. And so this team was really dominated by defense as well. All right. Hey, welcome to Post Game Live, brought to you by your New England Ford dealers. We're going to start it right now. The show officially starts. The Patriots are headed to the Super Bowl. Let's get it started.
Post Game Live is presented by your New England Ford dealers and Ford Trucks, America's best-selling trucks for 49 years.
You've got nowhere to go, right? You're snowed in and you're loving it. School off tomorrow. You're working from home. You should be working from home. Your Patriots are headed to the Super Bowl. They beat the Denver Broncos in Denver. First time in the history of the New England Patriots, the long history of the Patriots, that they won a playoff game in Denver. They win it 10-7. They're going to Santa Clara. They're going to play the winner of the Rams-Seahawks game. We got our crew here. We got Phil Perry. We got Tommy Kern. We got 3-time Super Bowl champion Ted Johnson. I'm Michael Holley. Lots to take away from this very low-scoring conference championship game. Let's get some opinions on how this unfolded. Phil, let's start with you.
Low scoring, Michael, but a well-coached effort is where I'm going first from the New England Patriots to be able to come away with this victory and be going to the Super Bowl. It was because they didn't lose it, whereas I think the Broncos did. That was a team that made more mistakes. How about 0 turnovers in the snow for Drake Maye and this New England Patriots offense and the defense coming up with stop after stop after stop. It does not need to be a Drake Maye-led operation, obviously, in order for the Patriots to be moving on here. He had a phenomenal regular season, but this is now 3 weeks in a row, Tom. Their defense has carried them, and now they're carrying them all the way to Santa Clara.
Yeah, and, just to restate, the Patriots going to Santa Clara, it's one of the great turnarounds in National Football League history. There's only 3 turnarounds that I would put in the same category, and that would be the 99 Rams with Kurt Warner, the 01 Patriots, and the 81 Montana-led 49ers. All of them went to the Super Bowl. All